beautiful passing play right there, Sean.
What a save! Woo! Talk about a move.
Hey, Colin.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, have you had a chance to check out Conway and Banks hockey bags yet?
I have, sir. Today's episode is brought to you by Conway and Banks Hockey Bags, one of the finest and probably the top of the line hockey bag on the market right now, with their wonderful materials and everything else that goes along with the bag. If you want to keep on going for me, bud.
Oh, I would actually go so far as to say that it's the premier hockey bag. Whether it be your shins, elbows, your gloves, your helmet, it all has a special place, and it also comes in a very what's the word that I'm looking for with the quality of the bag is it's one of the premier bags. If you have kids that are just starting out, or kids that are just trying to be more responsible, or if you're that guy that used to throw all this stuff in and was always losing their gear, whether it be a glove off to the, at the rink under the bench, here you can just look straight down into your bag and be like, I got everything. I'm good to roll.
Yep, and another nice thing about it too is they have a multiple different styles. So they have player, they have coaches, they have the backpack that you can pre-order right now,
Yep.
and they have a goalie bag. Honestly, I'm looking to get one, and if you guys go using our promo code Grow City Hockey in all caps, you can get 10% off one of these high quality bags. And guys, we recommend it highly. They sent us one in, and it is a phenomenal bag with the dividers organized, and not to mention they also have these nice vents on the sides, so that way airflow gets in there and you can finally battle that horrible hockey smell. So, guys, I don't think there's anything else to say about it other than go to Conway and Banks, check out these bags, and use our promo code Grow City Hockey in all caps for 10% off.
Get your Conway and Banks hockey bag now. Welcome to another exciting edition to Grow City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college.
Welcome to GCH Podcast. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to just bust this one out solo. So, welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock. We've got Fort Wayne number 1 on the docket. This is a T2, T3 event held in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the Sport One Parkview Ice House in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The T2 teams include the Buffalo New Era, Cincy Kings, Detroit Knights, Detroit Revolution, Detroit Smoke, Indian Line, the Mighty Galactopus, and the Windy City Syndicate. T3 teams, you saw the Chicago Hitmen, the Detroit Fuel, Detroit Revolution, Motor City Magic, and the Windy City Syndicate again. T4 teams that took place was the Detroit Knights, the Grand Rapids Crusaders, Mid-Michigan Saints, and the Windy City Syndicate. So they sent 3 teams in. Right now, let's just jump right in. There's only 2 events left after this one. For T3, T4, this one, there's only one other one left for the T2 teams. So let's see if they're going to make the final cut for the playoffs. I'm excited. I know you guys are. Let's get started, all right? Let's take off the shades here so that way we don't have any reflection. T4, we're going to start there. There's only 4 teams. 3 teams ended Saturday with a 1-1 tie. 1-1 record, I should say. And it would come down to tiebreakers to settle the seedings. And it was the Mid-Michigan Saints who drew the 4th seed. So they would take on the number 1 seed, the Windy City Syndicate, and the Windy City Syndicate would take a highly competitive back and forth game as they traded goals in the first period. As it came to a close, it would be 3-2 in favor of the Windy Syndicate. The Saints would tie it up in the second, but the Syndicate would get the final goal to advance to the finals. And on the other side of the bracket, you would see the Detroit Knights, the number 2 seed, taking on the number 3 seed, the Grand Rapids Crusaders. So with that, And it was a hard-fought battle, and you saw the Grand Rapids Crusaders come out and upset the Knights 2-1. This was a very tough battle to watch, because it was so good, back and forth. I mean, this had everything you guys were looking for. A tight game, a close game, and to end 2-1 in a roar hockey game is very, very rare. So with the finals being set, you had the Grand Rapids Crusaders taking on the number 1 overall seed, the Windy City Syndicate. And let's see what happens. So, that number 1 seed, the Syndicate, just would jump out to a 3-0 lead, and Mark Mikulik, he set up Timmins, Vucic, and it was just, it was 3-0 real quick. There was nothing they could do. The Grand Rapids Crusaders would have 2 goals to answer, so they would cut the lead down to 1 from goals from Zach Morey and Chris Russell. But then Timmins would add another goal for the Syndicate. Hunter Woodhull would keep the game close by scoring shortly after that Timmins goal. But then Mark would add his own goal, would add a goal of his own, I should say. He didn't score an own goal. And to go with his 2 assists already to give that 2-goal cushion, and at 5-3, that's a pretty good buffer there. You can always give up 1 and then still have that goal lead there. Hunter Woodhull would throw in another goal, but it just wasn't enough to overcome that fast start. And the final of that game would be 5-4 as your T4 champions, the Windy City Syndicate. Congrats, guys. The Hitmen taking on Detroit Revolution. That's Chicago versus Detroit. Heck of a rivalry there when it comes to hockey. You got the Hitmen prove just what their namesake is, and they hit hard, and they never let up the gas. There's 2 goals by Dylan Metale and 1 by Jake Lesiak made it 3-0 after 1. The Revolution tried to get back into it, but Dylan Metale had his hat trick by the end of the second, and then 4 more goals in the third sealed the fate of the Revolution, as they just could not get really any offense going, as the final score was 8-2, with your champions being the Chicago Hitmen. That, I believe, is their second or third. I'll have to do some research and let you know for sure. So the Chicago Hitmen, congrats to them. T2B action saw the Syndicate taking on the Detroit Knights, and they would trade goals all the way up until about 5 minutes left in the second period, when the Knights would look like they would extend their lead 4-3, 5-3, and then to close out the second, as the third period got underway, it looked like the Syndicate would run away. The Windy City Syndicate traded goals with the Knights till about 5 minutes left in the second, where they decided to extend their lead 4-3, then to 5-3 to close out that second and into the third. As they got underway, the Syndicate looked like they were going to run away with this as they increased their lead 6-3, only to see the Knights joust their way back in this and bring it to within 1 with 2 quick goals in less than 2 minutes to play. But their fate was sealed, as the Syndicate would walk away from this as the victor, 8-5. So congrats to the Syndicate. Let's move on to the other semifinal bracket, where you saw the Buffalo New Era taking on the Detroit Revolution. And after 3 periods, it was knotted up at 3s. But a tripping call in the final seconds of that second period would end up being the deciding factor, as the New Era would take a power play into that overtime stanza. The Buffalo New Era would take on the Detroit Revolution, and after 3 periods, you saw a tie at 3, but a tripping call in the final seconds would end up being the deciding factor, as the New Era would take a power play into the overtime stanza. Second semifinal saw it go into overtime, tied up at 3s. You saw an early penalty would be the deciding factor, as just 40 seconds later into that overtime, Buffalo New Era would get that goal. Austin Junik would end the contest for the Buffalo New Era. So congrats to Austin Junik. He would get the W. Moving on to the finals. So you had the Windy City Syndicate taking on the Buffalo New Era. And wow, this one went out fast, hard. It was 5-2, Corey Swift getting the hat trick in the first period alone. As the second period ended 5-3, for the New Era, the Buffalo would increase their lead 6-3, but the Syndicate would mount a comeback to make it interesting by scoring 3 goals. But the New Era was just too much, with that final being 7-6. So they kind of let them come back, but there just wasn't enough time. I think if there was another 3 to 4 minutes left, we would be talking about a complete comeback by the Syndicate. So with that, you saw your champions for the T2B would be the Buffalo New Era. So congrats to Buffalo on that one. All right. T2A action saw the number 1 Indian line taking on the number 2 Detroit Smoke. Detroit would go up 1-0 and then add 3 more in the second, and that would ultimately be enough to eliminate Indian line, as they were not able to mount a comeback. Don't get me wrong, they tried, but it just wasn't enough to break through that stout defense and that stingy netminder from the Smoke. Number 1, Cincy Kings taking on the Mighty Galactopus. CJ Groh and company come out and let's see how it goes. Number 1, Cincy Kings taking on the number 2 Mighty Galactopus. The Galactopus came out to play when they would get a goal under a minute left in the first period to put them up 1-0. And then again, they scored before the Kings could even respond. But by the end of the second, it was knotted up at 3. The Kings would then add more. They would add 3 more goals to their final total tally. So the final would be 6-3. So there you have it. The finals would be the Mighty Galactopus taking on the number 1 Cincy Kings. The Galactopus came out to play, and they would get a goal under a minute left in the first. Then they would score another one in the second before the Kings would even contemplate scoring. But by the end of the second period, it was all tied up at 3. The Kings would then add 3 more goals to the finals, or before the final period blew. So that final period saw the final score be 6-3. In the finals, you would see the Cincy Kings taking on the Detroit Smoke. The Kings would score 6 goals way before the Smoke decided to join the party. I think the Smoke just couldn't see with all the smoke that they had going on. They're a very fast team, but they just didn't have it. Just didn't have it until late in the game. Tyler Bouliard did his best, but Jake Telford and company was just too much, as the Kings would win 7-5. So let's do a quick recap. So the T2A, you saw the Cincy Kings. The Buffalo New Era were your T2B champions. The Chicago Hitmen would be your T3 team champions. And the Windy City Syndicate would be your T4 championship. That's going to do it for this episode. Please turn on your like and subscribe to our podcast. Turn on all notifications so you're not missing out on any of our content. Huge shout out goes out to Conway and Banks for their sponsorship of this episode. Don't forget to buy your next and last hockey bag from them. Use promo code Grove City Hockey, all caps, or not necessarily, just, all caps, whatever. You'll get it. 10% off your next purchase. I recommend it. I've got my bag on the way. Looking forward to seeing you guys out there on the rink. Cheers, guys. Have a good night. Up next, an interview with CJ Groh of the Cincy Kings. Welcome to the GCH podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is CJ Groh of the Cincy Kings, right?
Yeah, I think we have a couple names at this point.
Yeah, it's like
different jerseys every week.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love watching them or seeing them. I really like the Roller Ducks jerseys that you guys have been sporting there for a little bit.
Yeah, no. We originally started off with the Kings jerseys, and throughout I think the kind of years when we go to State Wars, actually Nick Okada, does all the kind of jersey work and kind of all the guys kind of pitch in. So
Well, neat.
I think we'll
So
roll with those more often. We'll buy a couple more just to keep everybody the same.
you guys will be keeping up with the envious anarchy there with their kits, man. Seem like they got a different set of unis every time they come.
Yeah, we should. I think we should have those. I think most times we'll have matching jerseys, just with me and Weiss not being there last week. I think the last time before that, we all had the right jerseys, but every
Right.
now and then when we get to like 9 or 10, and we can't get all the jerseys in there, so
Yeah.
I'll have to order some extras.
No worries. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself because you guys are sitting in first place in MyHot and T2. You guys have only lost one game to the Fresh Coast, right?
Yeah, they got us pretty good that time too. No, I think Chucky stood on his head. Chucky played really well that game as well.
Yeah. So now tell me a little bit about you because I was actually looking at your stats. I was surprised to see that you're actually not the goaltender.
No, I am
No,
not.
I was like, I'm looking at this and I go, oh, I'm going to be talking to the goaltender. And then I'm like, no, he's not the tendy when I was looking up your stats. Um,
No,
so you
not a
actually got
goalie.
you got your start playing at 16U and AAA with the
Yeah.
Cleveland Brown or Barons, right?
Yep. So I was an ice guy before this, ice goalie. Obviously, there's only kind of a select people that really know that really in the inline world.
Right.
Because I skated out inline before I was actually playing goalie, so I kind of did both.
Okay.
Which I think, in my opinion, helped playing goalie to kind of look for other things. And when I come out and play, when I play inline, which is all I do now, I don't really play ice goalie too much these days, so I can kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And
started with
then
the Barons.
yeah, you started with the Barons and then you ended up with the Blues in Springfield.
Yep.
And then ended up with the Bandits in Waterloo in Iowa there for a little bit.
Yep. I was a little bit of a suitcase that year.
And then you decided to go to college at the University of Alabama, Huntsville, right?
Yep. Yep. So
So
it was a good
tell us
time.
a little bit about that. Yeah.
Which one, the Huntsville or the juniors? Juniors was great. I started off in Springfield, kind of. Obviously, Barons have a really good AAA hockey program, and in Cincinnati, there's not. We need to do a better job, I think, with the youth inline and the youth ice because there's not a lot of options outside of you either play AAA or AA in Cincinnati until you can, or you have to move, which is kind of the situation where I think there's a couple of guys from Cincinnati who've actually left and played for like the Honey Bakes and the
Yeah.
Little Caesars or of that nature. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Because I was surprised when I was down in the Cincinnati area. I was doing a store opening for it was a Field and Stream down in Kentucky, just across the border, right outside of Cincinnati.
yep,
And but I was back in like 2013. And I didn't bring my gear with me because I didn't, I had looked up like ahead of time, but there was a rink right next to the hotel, and I was pissed that I didn't bring my stuff.
yeah, we have a. I mean, it's actually kind of a shame because we have a lot of hockey. I think we need to get more people that have played the game involved in coaching, myself included. I'm a little guilty of not doing as much coaching as I probably should or would like to. But after you spend your entire practically upper adult life in a hockey rink, that's not really where you want to go back to on your
Right,
Tuesdays
right.
and Thursdays. So
Yeah. So you went to Alabama, Huntsville, and then you took a little bit of a break, but then you found yourself over in the Czech Republic, right?
yep. I was battling some couple all through kind of junior, senior year. We obviously see only one game played there.
Two.
Was just
Two.
battling, just couldn't stay healthy. Came back, rehabbed, and got an opportunity to play. I was like, kind of lost the love a little bit for it, kind of burnt out.
Yeah,
Decided I'd go and just give it one more shot and travel for a little bit while I was there.
absolutely. So what was it like playing in Czechoslovakia there?
It was great. Kind of right there by Prague, so it was got to see a lot of sightseeing. It's much faster. The game, I think it's. I always tell people they compare it to the East Coast League. It's probably a little bit of both, a little higher end. Some of the guys just skating wise. I don't
Hmm.
know if those would translate because the rinks are a little bigger.
Right.
Goalie wise, it's a lot tougher because
Yeah.
the guys are faster. The puck moves faster, but from the ECHL level, I don't know how those guys would compete over there with the bigger guys too. So,
Right. So
but
now,
definitely an experience.
are there goals? Are they international size or are they
No, it's
regulation?
the same size. So you're thinking of from like an inline perspective.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, because I coached in Africa. So that was
Oh,
one of the things that, yeah, I coached in Namibia, where Dave Hammond's at,
oh,
and so I was just like wondering if they had kind of
no.
similar.
Their goal regulation size,
Yeah,
same size nets as in regular,
that's
not the
awesome.
normal inline nets.
Yeah. So now you guys made it to the championships. You just don't know who you're playing yet, because you guys don't have one more tournament left, do you?
Yeah,
You're not going to Buffalo, are you?
no.
Okay,
It's
cool.
it's hard to get guys, myself included. We kind of play our 3 tournaments and we do
Yeah.
it for fun, and then guys got families, jobs, and
Oh,
other things going on, so it's hard to really get them.
absolutely. So now, what teams are you guys most not necessarily afraid to play, but you guys like to play because it's going to be a good game.
God, it put me on the spot there. I gotta say Schwartz here, else he'd probably give me a hard time when I see him next week or a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Fresh Coast is good. I mean, those guys obviously beat us, so you have to say them. That A team is
It's insane.
I feel like it's a war every time we play them. Just
They're
get a
so
little
good.
mouthy, a little chirpy, but I mean it's
Yeah.
good. The guy after the game, it's always whatever stays on the rink. But I think those are
Yeah.
the 3 teams that kind of give us the most
Yeah.
trouble.
I love watching you guys, especially those your 3 teams that you just mentioned, because you guys play so fast, so good, and so technically sound that you guys are so far ahead right now. I say it's going to be
Yeah,
fun to watch you guys at the championships.
yeah. I think I don't know if you guys are knowing this or not. I'll probably not, obviously, but like the core group of those guys, like Matt Fisher, Jack Telford, myself, Chris Weiss, Okada, have all played together for probably 15 years
Nice.
growing up, so it kind of makes that a little bit easier.
And Telford, he's number 2 in the standings right there with
Yeah,
number of
don't
goals.
tell him that though. Where you can't
He'll
tell him
start
that.
getting a big ahead.
No, never. Yeah, it's funny.
So,
I didn't realize you guys didn't know I didn't play goalie in the Miha. That belongs to Mitch Harden.
yep. I saw that too.
I don't think I could put pads back on, let alone play inline. It's just way too different.
Yeah.
So I
I
was
don't know with the technology, not with the technological advances. Those new slide pads that they got
I was
make it
talking
pretty
to
cool.
I think I've talked to Chucky about it a couple of times. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. It's close, but I think it's more just a pushing off the wheels and not having
Yeah.
the edges. Is just I played a couple times when we were in Cincinnati and it just wasn't good.
Yeah. That's all right. Now, have you had a chance to actually see your stats?
No,
No, you don't pay attention.
not
Well,
too
just
much.
to
I
give
mean,
you, you're encroaching on on your 100th game, so you only have 3 more games till you got your 100th, and
nice.
then but you're actually sitting at just over 2.1 points per game.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
what happens when you get Nick Okada and Jack and Fish passing to you the entire time.
yeah,
Just
those guys.
just give it. Most of the time, it's probably a breakout pass, and Jack goes around a couple guys and they score. So
Right?
no, we've been doing it for a while. It was nice to get back to them having the T2. We kind of I don't know what Carl then would say, but being able to have our team actually back in to playing
Right.
together instead of me and Fish kind of played just a little bit of tournaments with some other buddies in the Detroit area. So
Yeah, I saw that you played with the Chiefs for a little bit, and then with the Knights a
yeah,
couple
I don't know.
years
I
ago.
didn't play. I don't know. I played with the gray team. I don't know. Oh, we played the
Yeah, the
Chiefs. I
Knights
think they
greats.
put together that team.
Yeah, it was like a one event
In
type event
yeah, in Indiana, Carl
situation.
was just looking for a couple guys, and
Yeah,
we weren't doing anything that weekend. So
yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, no, you played with the Detroit Knights gray. They took over for Carl, I think, a couple years ago.
yeah, and that's a really fun bunch to play against too. Those guys are way too fast.
I
Like I'm
just love
listening up.
watching the speed though, because it's been like I stopped playing in 2015 after I had surgery. And then I didn't step foot into a rink until I came back to broadcast like a couple years ago. So it was nice to be able to like just watch everybody's and see the improvements, but just the speed that you guys have in T2 is what I love to see.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of time. I mess with Josh Pasco. He's obviously a lot faster. So I'm like, that's fine. I'll have to run into you eventually. It's the only thing you can really do with him. But
Yeah.
no, it's good. We got a couple quick guys on our team, which is nice because we got some myself and Fish kind of just bring up the rear, as you would say. So
But you guys play such a fundamentally sound
yeah.
game because you guys are so technical. Your puck possession is off the charts. It's tough to find anybody. You don't really have a weak player on your team because you all play well, really well together, really solid, and you play as a cohesive unit. You guys don't get behind the puck, or on the scoreboard, you don't get behind that often. So, and when you do, you guys are right back in it within the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think we've done a good job throughout the years just finding what works for us. Because at times we can, if guys, I mean, I feel like we do a good job playing both games. If it turns into a running game, we can do that. But we would obviously would like to possess that. But I think a lot of teams know now that we want to possess it, and trying to play that little trap down low in our own end, which works out nice when you get the lead, right? And then guys start to press you a little more. I think that's
Yep.
kind of when we can break it open a little more when they start to press in our own end because that one pass starts to beat multiple guys and we're able to break the puck out. And again, when you have Nick and Jack like that, guys just know where to be before you're going to pass it. So
Right. And then especially with Hardman at your backstop, with only the one game that you guys have lost, it's you guys are going to be pretty tough for this in a couple weeks for the championships.
we just got to make sure we get. I think that's part of the hard thing is make sure we get everybody there, which we should. I think the one time we did play T2, we weren't actually able to go. We had a couple guys, or most guys were out that weekend, so we couldn't make the finals. So it'd be nice to get everybody there finally.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to watch you guys, and hopefully we'll see some fireworks on Saturday. It's going to be a pretty interesting selection draw for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's for us. Well, at least for me, I think it's going to be nice. I feel like with the tournaments we do play, we don't get to see everyone. I know we haven't played the Chicago guys in the past. They've given us a couple of good games as well.
Yeah, those syndicate teams, they're always tough.
Yeah.
I remember playing them when they first broke into the league. It was a 2013, 2012, or 2011. Because I know, because I played like the second year that Maiha was in, and then I played up until I retired in 2015.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I feel like we used to play them every tournament. We don't really go up to Chicago anymore, and I guess we just haven't really run into them as much.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've played the same set of teams, which has been the A team or A team, whatever how they want to say it.
Yeah, the A team, as
So
I call it.
we played them, and I feel like we end up playing Schwartzy in the Smoke every weekend, at least
Yeah,
twice.
but the quality that games that you guys are playing with each other is just it's insane because you guys are always good. Those Detroit teams are always tough. Same with the Chicago teams; they're always tough. They're fundamentally sound, especially in that T2 division. So it's not like the parity where you can really see like some of the T4 teams playing and then some of the other T4 teams that are in there, and you're like the talent level is just so skewed.
Yeah,
So
it's tight. I mean, especially when you got Shortsy and Swims and those
mhm.
guys. They we all know each other. We see each other in other tournaments. I know that they do a good job. They run that Legends tournament as well, so we always run into those guys. And I mean, I think Carl's done a really good job. And even Farinelli, I used to give him a hard time, but what they've done there for inline is,
Yeah.
I mean, we've almost lost our rink probably 3-4 times
Oh wow.
in the Cincinnati area because it always gets sold. There's always talks about getting it
Closing
taken
it
away,
down.
and they have the youth programs there. So I think from our side, we need to at least do a little better job of stepping up in Cincinnati. And I know Ian and those guys and do the youth programs probably need to eventually link up and kind of get something cohesive going on, but sometime in the future.
Yeah, that would be nice to see the game grow. I know here on the west side we've had like quite a few of the rinks close up. Now there's only one
Yeah.
rink in
What is it?
operation.
Joe Dumars is always the super popular one.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was, and then now it's just gone.
Yeah, I feel like
You know,
every couple of years. I mean, that Cincinnati rink just got bought out too by someone else, or I think it's in the process of being bought out by someone else. So Andy Weber, who runs the Cincinnati inline rink, does phenomenal. I mean, God's work to keep everything on the rails there for us. Because I mean, there's a couple times where we didn't have anybody to run the rink, and he would, stepping up and wearing multiple hats. Kind of, I'm sure, like Carl and Mike are doing as well. But
oh yeah. Yeah, and then same with the guys down in Pittsburgh too. I mean, they had their rink kind of taken away, and then they kind of the Y was able to buy and purchase
now
the.
there's two rinks there, correct? There's there hot
There's
shots in
just
the middle.
well, yeah. There's the Hot Shots is where's that at? I think it's out of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, there's two rinks there,
Okay. Yeah, I knew
and
that.
then yeah, and then there's like one other one that wherever they're in Grove City, and
Yes,
then
we
I
don't.
think there's one more in that within the driving
Well, yeah,
distance.
I didn't know. I mean, I've always been on the island for like playing the Hornets as a kid. Never, if we don't really make it to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh too much
yeah,
with our same three tournaments, hopefully, maybe one of these days we'll get the guys to go back out there. But
yeah, yeah. No, I played at Hot Shots in AIHL with the oh shoot, what team was that? It was the Grand Rapids Villains or something like that.
oh yeah,
So yeah, it was a long time ago. Like, that was yeah, that would have been 2011. So that was like 12 years ago.
no, but it's cool what you guys are doing now, especially for the Miha side of it, and get to watch that in the broadcasting. We'll have
Dude,
to we'll have to get
I
your
love it.
working on the Okada versus Okada.
Yeah, Okada, Okada. I don't know.
Yeah, Okada and Matea. Those are the only
Oh,
ones.
okay. I'll now that I know,
Oh yeah, I was gonna shoot you a message. I was like, we'll figure it out. Those guys,
no,
okay. I know that at least from our side, having people be able to watch is definitely
so
nice.
so Farinelli, because I'm in Michigan, and Farinelli had me come down and do like a announcing for him one time, and I absolutely butchered his whole team's name. So I think that kind of just like he kind of likes it when I kind of butcher it a little bit because he's
Yeah.
always giving me shenanigans about it.
No, those are
So
the
like,
hard ones. I would just, without obviously knowing Nick and those guys,
yeah.
that's pretty tough. But
Well, I mean, I do watch a little New Japan wrestling from time to time, and there's an Okada there, so I probably could have got that. But I think I said both Okada and Okada
yeah,
because I wasn't
Okada's yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, Okada's
Um.
definitely the right
Yeah.
pronunciation.
So cool. Yeah, because I like to I think one of the other teams, like one of the A team guys, mentioned something with one of their pronunciations was like because the name is French or sound, but he's not
Oh,
French.
that's
And
okay.
Reynold or
You're
something
allowed
like
to you're
that.
allowed to mess those up.
And he was like, he's not French. You really sound like a tool when you say it like that. I'm like, hey, I'm just calling it like I see it.
Yeah,
So
we've had some absolute battles with that team too.
yeah, that team is fun to watch, and I'm actually excited to see them play at Narch. I think they're doing Narch, or they're doing one of the California tournaments here pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know if the guys are just getting too old and nobody wants to really travel as much. And we're not, you have to take PTO off or work off now. The guys are, yeah, I think, well, I think that's why great that Miha is so great because you can still be able to play competitively. Because at home, we don't get to play together.
Right.
We're all separated on teams. I mean, it would
Mhm.
be great for myself, Nick, and Chris Weiss and Fish
Yeah.
and Jack to be able to play on the same team in a men's league, but we all kind of have separate teams that we kind of play on as well. So.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
nice to kind of get back to play together.
Yeah, that was something that Franny had talked about on his interview that I did with him a couple weeks ago, and actually just dropped a couple days ago. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go ahead and check that out. But yeah, he was talking about how you only have a shelf life when it comes to ice hockey, but when it comes to inline hockey, you can find that competitive level, and you can take it for a really long time. And now I think he's pushing almost. I think he's got to be pushing almost 45 soon.
Who's that?
Mike Francis from the
Oh
Fresh
yeah, I
Coast.
know. Yeah, I know
Franny.
Mike. Yeah, Mike's a good
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah. So and he's doing the Masters for Team
Does he
USA
play?
here.
Is he on Fresh Coast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's on
Okay.
the Fresh
I
Coast.
didn't see.
He'll sub in. He'll sub in for the Mighty Galactopus from time to time.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's maybe where I saw him playing last. But
Yeah, yeah, because he was on. He was playing with them down in Fort Wayne. I think.
okay.
a
Yeah.
couple
That's
weeks ago.
that's the one I was.
Yeah.
Was not at.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. So
yeah.
no, but it's nice being at home with. It's fun to play against those guys, but it's more fun when you're on your team. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Chris Weiss on a Sunday league is so you don't poke the bear. He's got certain dad strength, that's for sure now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a tough customer to play on Sundays.
Well, that's cool. All right, but well, do we have any other comments you want to talk about before we head out of here? Because we're just about out of time.
No, I mean I just appreciate what you guys do for the game. I think more than anything, that's kind of why we still like to play, and it's hopefully grow the game of inline. I know I did watch the Farinelli and Carl one, and they made a lot of good points about growing the game. So definitely
Yeah,
need
and
that
that
well
was
in the Cincinnati area. So
yeah, we're definitely going to do another episode like that, and we definitely want to get one of the guys from Cincinnati down there talking about there, because we had and then I want to get one from Chicago and Buffalo, because I want to get like all of those guys talking about.
I would reach out to Andy Weber, and then I don't know Ian personally that well.
Okay.
Obviously just through passing of the rink.
Mhm.
We're only there really on Sundays, and we're a little bit later than what the kids are on when they're during the week. But Andy Weber and Ian have done, obviously Ian with the youth league, and then Andy really kind of keeps that whole Cincinnati organization on the tracks in itself. So, and he used to play T4 as well. He doesn't play much Mihawk anymore, but he's a lot of the reason why the Mihawk came back to Cincinnati, which we greatly appreciate.
Yeah, no, definitely, because that was something that I enjoyed talking to Mike and Carl and Colin about that. They each run their own leagues in their local rinks. So the more we can get the brainstorming and fundraising ideas and all that stuff to try to help continue to grow the sport. And then with us going out to Minnesota a few weeks ago for the Let's Play Hockey Expo.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I'd never been to Minnesota before, and that was like the first time.
A little cold.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even cold. It was just because it was just like
you got lucky.
Yeah, we did.
Huntsville was in the WCHA for a couple of years, and we were going to Duluth, Bemidji, Mankato. So
was just nothing but coldness.
Yeah, and you wake up coming from Huntsville where it's 70 degrees, you have flip flops and shorts because it's 70 degrees, and you get off the plane, you're in Minnesota.
And then it's
kind of like the cool runnings, you wear all your clothes off the plane.
Right. But so they were talking about how they wanted to, try to set up inline hockey at their local rinks during the summertime.
I'm sure they'd kill it there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's literally they call it the state of hockey for a reason.
Yeah.
So but cool. So I thank you for taking the time to
to
join us out there.
I'll see you next tournament then, huh?
For sure, I'll be there. And I'll definitely be there for the championship. So we'll see you on the flip side there, bud.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
Yep, cheers. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, with special guest CJ Groh of the Cincy Kings.
Now carried it in back in front of goal.
That was a beautiful passing play right there, Sean.
What a save!